Good afternoon. My name is Christy, and I'm here to talk to you about my new program called Ceasing Stigma. So, mental health stigma is something that is very prevalent in today's society, and although many people are making efforts to eliminate that stigma, I think it has to happen one community at a time. So, I wanted to talk about why this is so important. Mental health, when it's not addressed, can lead to, some very negative outcomes, increased symptoms, the inability to get out of bed, the inability to do everyday tasks, and sometimes can lead to even more fatal outcomes. As of right now, suicide is in the top 10 of leading causes of death in the US. And most of the time, that is because of some sort of mental health problem. Now, that being said, mental health was never something that was really discussed in the past until previous years, simply because nobody really knew what it was. It wasn't really something that was discussed at the dinner table necessarily, or even in a textbook, not the same way that physical health disorders are discussed. So, that being said, having a group that does discuss current mental health issues is very important. Now, why do people not go to groups that might exist like this right now? Well, probably because they're not run by people that have mental health issues. They're run by, therapists and clinicians, people that know all of the textbook clinical jargon but don't necessarily have the personal experience to be able to relate and talk to about it. You also probably don't know the mental health providers. They're just kind of strangers with a PhD that want to tell you about what they have learned, but they're not necessarily somebody that you're familiar with or close with. So, Ceasing Stigma is a group that would be facilitated by people who have had mental health issues in the past, have received treatment in the past, or are currently going through mental health issues that are in the community. So, this could include a teacher that you had in school, or a friend or a neighbor, or someone that you are familiar with that would be part of facilitating the group discussions. Now, those individuals would not be responsible for facilitating the daily operations of the group. The administrative tasks would more be for the volunteers. So I'm going to talk a little bit about everybody that would be involved a little later on, but that's just kind of the gist of the group. It's meant to be an all-inclusive space for all disorders and all ages in the community so that they can talk about different things that are going on in mental health, different disorders, how they're feeling, feelings of uncertainty, what kind of services are there, and so on and so forth. So, Ceasing Stigma, our mission is to provide those struggling with mental illness with a supportive environment to discuss their challenges, get information from their peers and neighbors, and provide mental health resources, and just continuously provide mental health awareness in order to continue to eliminate the stigma for years to come. This will be done within open, ongoing dialogue. We envision a open experience for individuals to discuss their issues, one community at a time. Like I said, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it doesn't necessarily mean mental health is going to be eliminated all at once just because this program exists, but we can definitely try one community at a time, and then statewide, and then hopefully nationwide if it gets that big. So some of the targets of change, the people that I said would be involved, obviously anybody that's struggling with a mental health issue currently. Those people could also be the agents of change. Like I said, this program, the discussions would be facilitated by people that have gone through different mental health challenges themselves or are currently going through mental health challenges. I also wanted to include the providers because they can provide some clinical insight. Not everybody is a psychologist, not everybody understands the neurology aspect of it. So some providers that I wanted to get involved in the program, not every single time, but through different sessions, have them become guest speakers, would include different social workers, counselors, therapists, psychiatrists, mentors, general practitioners, and I also wanted to include college and graduate level students because I think that this could also be a way to serve the volunteers as well as the attendees of the program. Now, I wanted to touch upon the volunteers a little bit and discuss, why this would be helpful for them. This would be a program that could provide an internship opportunity for those in a mental health related field and those trying to continue their education. So this program would be able to provide that opportunity for them, would be able to provide the opportunity for the program to have people to manage the daily operations, take notes, get that kind of exposure. And, even if they are also experience mental health issues, they could also become speakers in the program. So it's a win-win for everyone. Some of the reasons why I wanted all these different people to be involved in the group is because they'll be able to talk about how mental health affects physical health, what kinds of medications are available for different mental health issues, what are some coping strategies, what are some more specific support for a specific diagnosis outside of the group, and just overall, like how to seek treatment, why you're behaving the way you are due to your symptoms, things like that. They can provide different kinds of professional insight that can really correspond and work well with the personal experiences of the mental health speakers. That being said, this could also provide an incentive for people. So most of this program is going to rely on government funding. It's not going to be something that we can dish out millions and millions of dollars to do. But by providing the providers with an opportunity to advertise their services at the group, it kind of helps them too. It gives them some referrals, which is a good exchange as opposed to monetary exchange. So as far as the program managers, the operations aspect of it, we would be discussing with the speakers things like scheduled topics, things like accountability, funding, space, resources, and just what needs to be done for this program to work as smoothly as possible. Some goals for the program is hosting these groups on a bi-weekly basis to discuss stigma, symptoms, culture, and many other topics. Recruit community members to participate in the conversation. And partner with the local providers to market the resources. Because a lot of the times, some people might not be getting help because they don't know where to go. So being able to create more awareness as to what is available right now to them. Some objectives. So the intent would be for the program to start off in October 2018. So for that 3 months, July, August, and September 2018, those would be for the team to, get approval for the space, preferably the local high school, because there is a big auditorium, there's a gym, there's a lot of space for a lot of people to come, and it's a non-discriminatory program. You can show up whenever you want, as long as you sign in and just give some information. You can show up whenever you want, and it's a voluntary program. It's just kind of an open forum for people to come and get support and services. In addition, during those 3 months, we would be working on advertising. So where would we be marketing the program? We were thinking more like, churches, supermarkets, local bulletin boards, the newspaper. Social media is a big one. The program wants to develop an app so that you can log in, see when the scheduled dates are, get some resources, and even connect with other members based on their username if they also have the app. So we wanted to just kind of use the program and market it as much as possible through technology, through the local newspapers, and just in town, making flyers, making posters, and of course word of mouth. Another way to market this program would also be to present at local schools or churches or towns, or just being guest speakers and just talking about the program by having those that are involved in the program tell you what their experiences are. That being said, a year into the program, we hope that at least 15 different locations are stationed for Ceasing Stigma. So every town would have their own discussion forum, or every county, or however works best depending on the turnout of the people. By 2020, there will be a decrease in people who are not receiving any mental health services, and they will be getting more support, which hopefully will lead to a decrease in the yearly suicides in this country. And the main objective for the entire state by 2021 is to have a stigma-free state. So there are stigma-free towns right now that exist, but not every town is stigma-free. Not every town is talking about mental health. So it's really the main goal is to get the conversation going. Some outcomes that we expect are, for 75% of people struggling with mental health to be linked to some kind of support and some kind of service to minimize the amount of suicides. to get the services more utilized in the community and just overall have the state be eliminated from that mental health stigma and, created as normal as something as a physical impairment. Some limitations that could come up from the program, since we are all an all-inclusive program, is, there could be discussion of maybe this person is not mentally stable enough to run a group. We would talk to every single person before that they go up and present their story and just kind of have a conversation with them, see where they're at, see what their symptoms look like on the surface. If they seem like everything is fine and that there's a low risk for them hurting themselves or others, absolutely you can go up, because it's easier to put a face behind a diagnosis and really understand it more and empathize more with it. So as long as there's no harm that would be put onto that person or other people, it would be fine. Another limitation would be the age groups. So if there is a very wide range of ages, obviously there's going to be a difference in competency level, in cognitive abilities, in, if a 10-year-old is going opposed to a 60-year-old, they might not have a lot to agree on. So within the program, there will be main speakers talking about their experience, but there will also be breakout sessions in that time. So in the breakout sessions, if the turnout is a big group and a big variation of ages, there will be separate age groups. Those will not be run by a specific facilitator, but rather just be like a general forum for everyone to speak about what's going on. The last limitation would be competency level. So not everybody's going to understand clinical jargon, and that's fine. So the program would have those mentors and those volunteers able to discuss and help the clients understand the terms and have all the resources in various languages and in very basic dialogue that really anybody would be able to understand, because not everybody's a psychiatrist. Not everybody understands the clinical point of it. As far as measuring the program and how the progress is going, we would just be continuously taking data. So whoever signs in, who's attending more, what age groups are attending more, what are the topics that seem to be coming up most frequently, what are some frequently asked questions. There will also be a feedback box so that you can provide feedback or ask anonymous questions if you don't feel like comfortable to say in the program during the live forums, and then they'll be discussed during the next group of forums. As far as the resources go, not every resource is going to be an effective resource, so we would give them about 3 to 6 months to be there at the live forums and provide their information. We will keep track of the referrals, and they'd be able to make a referral right then and there at the table when they're at the program. Now, if we see that a specific resource isn't being used very often, they'd be cut from the live forums. That we'd have a big resource directory that we'd put them into, and people can look through that directory if they're not happy with the ones that are at the live forums, so that their resource is not completely cut from the program, and we can continuously build the awareness of how many services exist. And then as far as tracking success, there will be somebody at each program taking notes on everything that is being discussed, and the general symptoms, being an observant of the room, just kind of getting a feel of what kind of people are coming in, what the main issues are, in order to put more emphasis on those issues and create more discussions. That being said, this program is basically main on data. So how are we going to be able to tell that it's working? We would do assessments every 6 to 9 months to see how many hospitalizations have occurred due to mental health disorders, how many suicide attempts or suicides have occurred, any kind of major trauma as a result of a mental health challenge. We track all that information through local providers, local agencies, hospitals, etc., to see if this program has had a positive effect on the community or not. If it hasn't, then that's where we make room for revisions, and we'd be constantly revising the program to make sure that it meets the needs of all of the communities. The last point, how do we get people to care? So we would get people to care by, really talking about, really having them relate. So if it's a stakeholder's grandmother or mother or teacher or friend, that might be going through a mental health issue, or a club that they're involved of, getting those people to get involved. Get the entire community, every single aspect, to get into it and talk about it, because when it comes from somebody that you care about and love and they're talking about something that they're going through, it's much easier to care about something than as to whether or not it's just a program that exists in the community. So that being said, this program can be very preventative, it can be very informative, and can be a safe space for people to get that support in the community and help cease stigma. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and thank you very much for your time.